Hey everyone, my name is Felicia. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wanted to talk to you today about Atlantis and two of the core, what I call core archetypes. These are based on core wounds that come into your template. So who you are as an individual, your identity, before you even incarnate into this lifetime. And this is for those of you that had a lifetime in Atlantis and you had some kind of trauma that came forward into this lifetime. Trauma, also known as karma. So if you carried forward some kind of trauma from Atlantis, you're probably in one of these two core archetypes. And it's really important to know what this template is and how it's impacting your life, because it doesn't impact just one part of your life, like your love life or your money situation or your work situation. It's really impacting your happiness. And if you're not feeling happy, and that's just me really breaking it down, but if you're not feeling happy, is that core emotion, joyful, in a state of gratitude, or you're feeling triggered by things that happen, then you're probably in one of these core archetypes. Now, I'm only going to focus on one of them today, which is the survivor archetype. The other archetype is victim. This would be anyone that died when Atlantis fell, okay, as a civilization. And we'll talk about that another time. And I have a book coming out on it, but that's down the road. So today I want to focus on the survivor archetype and how you would be impacted if this is the archetype that you incarnated into Earth with. Now, if you incarnated with this archetype, what you may be experiencing is a feeling internally of instability. And you may not describe it to yourself that way, but basically you might feel triggered by certain things, especially politics, people that are dominating and controlling, people that have the ability to be kind to others but choose not to be. Those kinds of things will really trigger you in a survivor archetype. And the reason for that is survivors of Atlantis, usually they were of a higher, not always, but usually they were in a higher place. So think about, like, wherever you're watching this from, if your government probably has an exit plan in place for the highest officials, right? So that they're safe and they could go start over somewhere, but they don't necessarily have an exit plan in place for like the other million or millions of people. Right? And so that's kind of how we want to look at what happened with Atlantis. Now, the difference is Atlantis and the people that governed Atlantis, they never expected that this would be an issue. So it wasn't that they weren't taking everyone into consideration. It was that Atlantis was so technologically advanced, they never fathomed that something like this would happen. And we'll talk about what this is the other day. We all know it was floods, but there's a whole story of why these floods came in and what actually happened. And that is way too much for me to talk about in one video. But what happened was the survivors were not necessarily the chosen ones that were going to be saved and start a new civilization somewhere else. That was not the case at all. What happened with survivors was many of us, and I'm a survivor of Atlantis, what happened was many of us actually wanted to go back home. We wanted to stay and save as many people as possible, and we were forced with a decision to make. And I'm using the word forced with intention, because in the moment of having to make this decision, to make this choice, we felt like victims, because it was like a lose-lose situation. Nobody was winning, because if we couldn't go home to get our families, which we couldn't because the floods came in so quickly, when we wanted to go and get our families, not only were our families going to die, but we were going to die as well. So everybody was going to die. Now, some survivors did start to make that journey, and they, like, back home to their families, and they got pulled out by someone higher up, or they got pushed into a ship that was exiting, or something happened that pulled them out. And so those survivors would feel like in this energy of, I really don't have a choice. So this is how it would be impacting you right now. I really don't have a choice. You'll be feeling like a victim to your circumstances in a lot of cases. Now, the other survivors had to make the difficult choice, and they chose, rather than everybody dying, to just leave. We're talking about the smallest amount of time that survivors had to make this decision. And everybody else, the victims, were caught totally off guard because there were sirens. There were sirens that were going off. And so people didn't know what was going on. Sirens had gone off before, but it was nothing like this. And so there wasn't a long, drawn out panic of people trying to escape or anything like that, because it happened so quickly. So that's both the good and the bad side of it, is that it was not drawn out. People that passed on, it happened very quickly. When I've actually seen the vision of this, there have been people that crossed so quickly. I mean, when I've seen it, there were angels. I mean, we're talking thousands of angels just going and grabbing souls left and right and taking them to their next, what I guess we'd call heaven, right? Taking them to the next plane of existence where they'd be able to come down from this and figure out their next steps. And so I always have felt like the survivor archetype is really in a terrible position, because it was a lose-lose choice. Like, you either go back home and you all die together, or you move on and you live with the memory of what happened to your family and your friends. And keep in mind, Atlanteans loved everyone that lived there. Everyone, not just their friends and family, things that we experience in this plane Earth that we're on right now, where it's like, yeah, you love the people closest to you, but you don't necessarily feel that unconditional love for people that you don't know. We're working on it, right? We're trying to get there, but you don't necessarily feel that right now, or maybe you do. But this was different in Atlantis. So the loss that the survivors felt was very far reaching. It was not just friends and family. It was way beyond that. Way beyond that. It was the loss of their entire civilization, and then they were forced to start completely over somewhere new, and they all went to different parts. But what happened was, what came into the archetype is an energy of anger, and especially with power plays, anything controlling, anyone trying to control you. And I bet you have at some point struggled with some kind of control issue or power play on your own. You might think it's a small thing, but it's not. It's really big. It's you using your power to benefit yourself in some way. And that is a karmic energy. It's something that came in from this archetype. It's doing something just because you can. Okay. And I know I've struggled with this throughout my life. There's been this energy of, well, I'm going to say this or do that because that's going to get me the outcome that I want. And so I'm not coming from a place of judgment. I just want to call your attention to it, that you really want to pay attention to energy like this, because it is a karmic energy. And Atlantis energy is so deeply rooted in our DNA, in our cellular memory, that you're acting this out without necessarily knowing that it's coming from there. And so to get out of a karmic debt like this, an energy that is so deeply rooted, it requires you to change your behavior in each moment. And in order to do that, you have to step back from being reactive to really responding to things that happen. Not reacting, but responding. This is sitting back and taking a breath and even asking yourself, do I want to continue responding in this way? And the question would be, well, is that working for me? Did that get me the outcome that I want? And you may have gotten the outcome, like maybe you wanted something and you ended up getting that thing, but that's not really the outcome that we're looking for. Because if you're feeling guilty after you get the thing, or you're feeling some kind of regret, then that was the wrong choice. That's how you know. And I'm using the term wrong very loosely here, but that was the wrong choice for you. Because if it was the right one, it would feel really good as a continuation all the way, and you wouldn't have any regret. You wouldn't feel any feelings of obligation or fear or a feeling like you need to apologize. None of that would be coming up. But if you're feeling the opposite, where there's this energy of like, I'm not feeling very good about this, I should make it right, then use that as a frame of reference for the next time that you make these choices. You're going to choose differently. And you know that you felt like this before, it didn't feel very good. And this is how we're going to reprogram one at a time. And also, if you haven't taken a look at your Atlantis lifetime, or at least done a regression and you could do a light regression even in meditation, you could work with someone like me on it. I offer sessions on this, but you want to do some kind of regression to see if Atlantis is your core soul tribe, and these are called soul tribes, or if you have a different soul tribe, because if you have a different soul tribe, you have a series of patterns that are coming from that soul tribe. Just like if you're Atlantean, and I'm talking about Atlantis right now, you have this survivor archetype that's coming through, and that archetype is impacting everything in your life right now, especially your beliefs, what you believe is possible. And Atlanteans, survivors especially, came in with an energy of anger because we didn't see this coming. We lost everything that we loved and everyone that we loved, and we had to completely start over. And so that type of energy right now will make you very resistant to commitment. Okay. You will find yourself feeling like, why should I commit? I'm just going to lose it anyway. And if somebody tries to get close to you, even if you're in a relationship right now, if somebody tries to get close to you, it's kind of like you'll keep people at arm's length. And see the face I made? Very like, I don't know if I can trust you. You know, there's that kind of vibration where it's like you're a skeptic. But I'm using the term skeptic very loosely because I don't believe Atlanteans are skeptics at all. I think we identify with that, but it's only because we were hurt so much when this happened that we don't really know who we can trust now. So there's this energy of discernment that needs to come in. And this is how you start to translate this energy. There's this energy of discernment that comes in now where you need to be discerning about who you can trust because you were betrayed so much in this life and you lost so much and you had to start completely over. There's a part of you now, especially in relationships, where you say, you know what? I don't want it at all because I don't want to have to start over. Or I don't want it because I don't want to have to lose it. And so if you want to feel happy, and feel loved and be able to love, you need to be able to move past this energy of feeling like you're going to lose everything. So what does it matter anyway? Because that's a self-sabotage thing. It will make you be not as successful as you can be. It's kind of like a glass ceiling energy because you'll keep yourself stuck. Everything you want is on the other side of these fears that came in from Atlantis. So you need to resolve that energy in the past life, know what happened there, see it again. There is, I'm sure, some discomfort that will be involved with seeing this lifetime again. But what's really important and I'm speaking from experience, I felt very uncomfortable when I saw this lifetime again, and I had a lot of emotions come up, and I continue to when I make videos like this and I write these blog posts for you to help you get up and out of this. I'm also re-experiencing it. And the thing that is important to remember, and what I always remind myself of, is this is in the past. We're here now. Things are different. And that needs to be moved on from, because especially Atlanteans, are here. And I think all the soul tribes have some very big part of humanity's healing going on right now. And I'll be talking about the other soul tribes in the coming months, so stay tuned. But for now, Atlanteans especially have this really big mission. Like, we don't feel like we're here to just work and then die. We really feel like in order for us to feel okay with dying, and dying in the non-literal sense, because we're just moving on to another plane, right? We're really feeling like we need to have a legacy. We need to know that we left something behind that's going to live beyond us, and that our children are going to have a really safe place. And I kind of feel like there are a lot of Atlanteans that chose not to have children because, especially the ones that lost members of their family, that lost children, there are a lot of us, and I'm sort of undecided on this myself, because there's a lot of feelings that have to be worked through, of knowing that everyone is safe and protected and history isn't going to repeat itself. And I feel like that's why a lot of Atlanteans came forward, is like, we need to make sure this doesn't happen again. This incarnation right now that you're watching this video in, this is the most Atlanteans we've ever had on the planet. I feel like we have all just come back and gone, okay, let's reconnect. That's why I'm coming forward to you with these videos and wanting to build this community with you and have us all reconnect and help each other and get on with our life mission and life purpose. And in order to do that, you have to heal what happened in Atlantis. You have to heal that lifetime. You have to heal that trauma. And we need to reset that karmic blueprint that you came in with. And it's actually pretty easy to do. And it'll take some work. But if you're committed to it and you're showing up and watching these videos and you want to move on from this, I would love to help you do it. So stay tuned on these videos and join my free Facebook group. It's for all of the soul tribes. I have 5 listed right now. There are more that I'll introduce later, but for now we have the 5 that have come to me. I'm going to link you to it in the video below. And I will also link you to the blog post where I wrote all about the Atlantean survivor archetype, so you can read more about it. And I do respond to comments here and on the blog. So if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave it there or on the blog, and I will get back to you. And I'll see you in the Facebook group. So be sure to click below if you're watching this video, and I'll link you to it below. All right, so I'll see you on our next video, which is going to be about the victim archetype from Atlantis, and that'll be sometime next week. Okay, all my love. Talk to you soon. Bye.